All right, boys and girls, with Kmigs to talk about his team. I sent him a message saying top secret interview, and we finally got it moving here after a few days on Sunday, fun day to get this going. Going to be not a lot of time for this soon. There's a fly, and it is just driving me nuts. I'm not going to be able to do this soon because football time coming up in about 2 weeks here. I talked to you last from everybody else. Oh, the fly's right there in the fucking... Never mind. I'm just going to awkwardly hold a fly swatter for the entire interview. How's everything been with you since we last talked as we went over the rivalry list?
Good. Locker room's good. I got my staff. We're good, man. I'm good. We're excited for the season.
Yeah. No, I'm really looking forward to it. Again,
I'm pumped. I can't believe football's already like almost here, you know?
Yeah. I've watched more preseason this year than I feel like I have other years as well. I don't really know why.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, it hasn't been a whole bunch.
It's meaningless.
I know, but I've been like really excited to watch some of like the Eagles second stringers. I haven't watched anything else other than like a clip or a highlight or something like that. Hall of Fame game for like 20 minutes because everybody does that, right? You're really excited for football and you're like, why am I watching this?
Nobody's playing. Yeah.
Well, yeah, it's so early. Like they started like a week after training camp opens. It's ridiculous. It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, I was listening on the radio the other day, like preseason. Hold on, my dog. Hold on.
This is where we talk shit about Kmigs, right? He's so bad. Oh my god.
The guys like starters used to play in preseason, and like now it's just they like play like 6 snaps. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, they'll go play one series.
Yeah, I don't care at all about it. I mean, like I remember there was one year the Browns went like 4-0 in the preseason. I believe that was the same year they went 0-16 under Hugh Jackson. So,
thank you, dear. Yeah, I mean that sounds about right.
What a gem.
She is a gem. I'll tell you what. Make sure I stay hydrated. Yeah, I think it was like the year the Eagles went like 0-4 in the preseason. We won the Super Bowl, and then every year we've gone 4-0. We don't make the playoffs or something like that.
It's meaningless.
Yeah. But let's talk about what's going on with you, your team, all the things, and let's pull up the website. Let's look at your roster. Who made this fucking thing? Here we go. Brown out top corner over here. Returning champion. By the way.
Yes.
This is still.
Yeah, where's my fucking trophy?
It's still here. I've got to send this to you. I've got to figure out where to get these.
Yeah, if I don't get that trophy at all during this season, that's brutal.
I will figure out.
What are you gonna ship it?
Yeah, I guess
it's ridiculous.
That hand delivery thing was a great promise before I had a kid. He sucks up all the free time.
There's no reason to come to Cleveland, I guess. But didn't you say? Aren't there some Wawas opening up in Ohio? Can't you
I probably could
get a
honestly.
gig where you come and consult?
So honestly, we won't talk about it too much, but I tried to do that actually, where I was like, hey, I used to do this for Chipotle. I'd be good at this, and so maybe I'll make an excuse.
And I need to deliver a trophy.
And I have to deliver a trophy. Yeah, maybe that's when I'll come get it back from you. I think that's when it's opening around then. So maybe that's how I'll get it back.
Okay.
But yeah, I will ship this soon. I'll figure out how to get your name engraved on it within the next day or two. Make that happen and ship it to you. But let's look at the roster. Primed for a repeat, some would say, after not really losing too many pieces, adding Mahomes. Let's kind of talk through all that because that was you and I, right? You still got Deshaun Watson on the roster. Drafted Bo Nix after picking up Mahomes, if I'm not mistaken. Still have Jared Goff, so loaded at quarterback. But then again, you could say that about any position with Ayuk, Wilson. I know you're a big Jameson believer. Amon-Ra St. Brown, Waddle, tight end. You've got Hawkinson and Njoku. Like you're loaded everywhere. Is there a position that you're concerned about at all? Barkley, McLaurin, like it's top down. Is there a position you're concerned about? Are you happy with everything? Because the big knock for a long time was quarterback. Kind of had 3 good quarterbacks, and now you've got Mahomes.
Yeah. Honestly, dude, I would have been fine rolling into the season with Tua and Goff, but I couldn't pass up the opportunity to have Mahomes. If it was tight end premium, I'd say tight end. With Hawk being hurt, right. Even if he's ahead of schedule, just like not sure when he comes back. I mean, honestly, with Njoku, I think I'm okay. Goddard is, again, it's like tight end premium. So like even if I've got to kind of play matchups and go with Goddard, I can. And then I traded like I can't remember what did I trade for Chig, like a 26th third. I just wanted some tight end depth with like the Hawk injury.
Right.
So I think my team's pretty stacked this year. I mean, obviously, barring injury, you never know what the hell can happen.
Yeah.
I still have like A-Chain on the bench, Tony Pollard on the bench, who I think can be more than serviceable, like a good flex this year.
Right. ETN there, like I mean, not on the bench probably, but you've got the pieces and the depth.
Is he on the bench? Oh no, he's my last flex spot. Yeah, I think the hardest thing though is like when you have a really stacked team, you're hoping that you play the right guys that week. I mean, I've got McLaurin on the bench. You know, I like Jameson, like a believer. Yeah, I just, although I do agree with like, there's only so many mouths to feed. I just think he's doing everything right. We saw how electric he could be last year. Like, he didn't even have to touch the ball that much to score. But still, like, you know, how many design plays are there going to be for him? How many targets is he going to get? I think the talent's there, and I think he's done everything he can from, like, you know, the camp hype coach speak. But again, like, dude, I don't love his contract. I mean, it's 43.65 and 103. Like, is he worth that? He's gonna have to do quite a bit this year to be worth that. But then it's like, then I would have like Amon-Ra, and like, what does that then deflate some of his value? I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, I like the Knicks pick. I don't know if he's gonna be a great quarterback, but I think he can be a good young quarterback at least for a couple seasons.
Yeah. And it's that premium position, right? I mean, if
premium position super. I mean, I have 4 quarterbacks. That's another tough thing. Is like, there might be weeks where I lose because I started the wrong quarterback, but I'm never gonna bench Mahomes or Goff. I mean, I don't see why I would ever bench one of those guys,
right?
Unless Watson finally has a good year.
Well, that's the thing is you've got the bye week security. You do have Watson. You can let Nick. You can let Nick. I'm going to move this. You can let Nick sit on the bench and develop per se. And if Watson has a shit year, Nick's looks good. I mean, Watson's a prime cut candidate in my opinion. If Watson looks good, maybe you flip him. You know, like you've got the optionality there, and you have that at every position for the most part.
Yeah.
The major concern for you is you did the blind spiral thing, and what Cam's doing this year in 2025, you're negative $164. Have you started to look ahead to 25 yet? Is that not even on your horizon right now because you're focused on the repeat? Good cap space still too, right? With 47, that's probably like second or third in the league. So you've got the talent, you've got the money. It's just next year is where it gets kind of scary. Mahomes at 338, Waddle at 117, Brees at 110, 151 for Watson. Have you thought about what's going on there at all, or not so much?
A little bit. I'll think a lot more about it throughout the season, see how some of these guys on bigger deals. I mean, I've got Brees on a big deal next year, I think. Waddle. I mean, I'd love to figure out a way to keep Mahomes. There's always moves that can be made. We'll see. I mean, it would be awesome if Watson plays well and somebody's hurting for a quarterback, and I can ship him off somewhere. But we'll see. I mean, I get it. Like, I hate having so much money tied up into one quarterback, but to be able to get Mahomes at least for this year, like with this roster, I think it was just too hard to pass up. What did I give up for Mahomes? Like Tua, who's a cheap ass quarterback.
Yeah, let's see. I think that in a first, something along those lines. Deshaun, that's the wrong thing. Traded to Kmigs and blind spiral. We went back and forth with Deshaun Watson like 7 times. You remember that?
I know.
Tua was a mistake. Tua, Mims, a first and a third for Mahomes.
Yeah.
And
the reason he was so cheap is because the reason you're so cheap is because of the contract.
Yeah. Which puts you in a very similar bind next year, potentially, right? But 164 is not much to trim. So let's. I think again, the prime, from the outside perspective, if I'm sitting here and I take over this team, the first thing I'm doing is cutting Deshaun Watson. But you're right. If he has a good year, maybe he's tradable, right? Because you could take significantly less just to get him off the books. So the reason I bring that up is because pretend that scenario happens. Pretend Watson's doing well. Pretend there's a contending team that only has 2 quarterbacks, or their other quarterback's not doing well or whatever, and there's an injury, and somebody comes asking about Deshaun Watson as a we'll scratch each other's back type deal. How cheap do you think Watson is? Part of me would think, hey, let him go for free because to get him off the books. The other part of me thinks that's a starting quarterback in a super flex league. You got to start this conversation at first, right? Is it somewhere in between?
Yeah, I'd lean the trying to get some draft capital back. I mean, if he turns it around and looks decent to good, I mean, what is he? He's a 28-year-old quarterback, you know?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, he's got value, and if he looks decent to good, that's not a terrible contract, you know? So I lean always open to some draft capital back because that gives me flexibility with cap.
Right.
We'll see. I mean, look, I'll be honest. I mean, it's more realistic that he shits to bed again. I mean, it's probably one of the worst NFL trades of all time. What the Browns did, you know.
Yeah.
But it sucks to even be saying like if he looks decent to good, like we traded for like good, very good, you know.
Yeah, you traded for
But yeah, that's the thing. I wouldn't be giving anybody away for free. I don't think I ever really think that way.
Yeah, I don't blame you. So let's kind of start to wrap this up a bit. Let's just talk about any team that, in your opinion, and look, I know we haven't talked in a long time. I know we haven't looked at rosters in a long time. I know that we're starting the season, but is there any team that you currently think is maybe a little bit more overrated when you kind of look at the league and the lineups and the rest of the teams in here? Whether that's from the hype that they got during the draft, how they ended last season, what you think their expectations might be versus looking at their roster a bit more, or have you even started to do that yet?
Looking at rosters right now, like overrated teams, I'm trying to think, you know, like let me see.
Yeah, and I almost try to imagine, I guess, who was in the playoffs last year. Obviously, don't include me in that, right? But you've got Buffalo Princesses, you've got Justin's Deli, the Ticket to Ride, Ticket to Ride, Justin's Deli, the inaugurals, yourself, the Pandas. You know, almost, you know, you
I
can
always
say,
I always give Codes shit. But he's like consistently in the playoffs and like competing. But like you look at his team, it doesn't really like wow me. But he's got guys that like are probably gonna get good volume. Joe Mixon, like barring injury. I mean, but I wouldn't say like overrated. I'm trying to see like, you know, Cam does a lot of work on his team. Like his team.
Code's still underrated at the 4th highest win percentage in our league. 20 wins. The most amount of wins in our league is at Unicorn with 22. Then you and Cam tied for 2nd with 21, and him in 4th at 20.
I like Cam's team. The only thing for him is like Stafford. Just I don't know how he's going to look if he is nearing the end of his career and due to durability. That's QB2. Let me look at Bolt's team real quick. I mean, I love Lamar. Lamar is like a cheat code.
Yeah, I can't believe I fucking drafted him.
But starting a tight end at your flex when you're not in tight end premium, I'm not sure how excited he is about that. I look at some of these teams too, man. Like their benches are not really good. Like if they look at Bolt's bench.
Nothing sexy there.
Yeah, I mean,
Wilson,
and he also
Williams. Yeah, I mean, there's a couple. They should, quote unquote, wide receivers, right, with Shaheed and Palmer and Williams, and you could maybe argue Burks even, But other than that, there's not really a whole bunch going on. Chubb.
I look at a lot of teams and I see that is not. A lot of folks don't really try to kind of strengthen their bench. I mean, that's something that we've been talking about since I drafted my team, and again, that's how I set my team up. If you recall, like our our startup draft, I played it slow and I was just able to build I've got depth at all position, and I just think that blessing and a curse though, again, like we were talking about earlier, you gotta make the right weekly moves, but I mean, I'm not worried about bye weeks or injuries.
Yeah.
I mean, I know I just jinxed it and everybody's gonna get fucking hurt, but
that's how it goes. What about the opposite? Anybody that you feel like is underrated, doesn't get enough credit for what they've done with their team, should be on a good path this year?
Rick did a great job, I think, turning his team around from
what it was.
From what it was, just like, I think he's probably got a vision for that team now. I'm not saying they're gonna like compete this year, but I know what did he end up like re-signing Evans for? 77. Man, I really wanted Evans. I think it was cool what he did, being able to flip the right pieces and getting a guy like Anthony Richardson. I love what Chase did. What a fun draft to have all those picks for,
Yeah, he said it was the most he's ever had in any draft ever.
BaaadAss is, I don't know, I think it's kind of cool, the two guys that we added and what they were able to do with their teams,
Yeah, and it's going to be fun to see what BaaadAss does, too, because he's
underrated. I don't know, man. I feel bad for Flynn being in our division, because I feel like...
Don't we all?
Well, like, I look at his team, like JSN, Marv, Bowers. I like Bryce Young this year. This team, I don't see it competing.
If you put his team in a different division, do you see him having a chance? Like you put his team in the Rick Chase blind pile division.
If Levis and Bryce turn it on, yeah. I mean, I think if Godwin turns it on because he's back in slot now, if JSN has, I mean, I think JSN personally, I think he has the talent to become a wide receiver one. I just don't know if that's going to be on the Seahawks. I don't know.
Right. I also like a lot of the shots he took here towards the bottom of the roster, right? I really like, I mean, I know that everybody hates him. Carr for $29 is a QB3, not bad. Swift for 35 should be the RB1 in that offense, which has plenty of weapons. 17 for Eckler, 5 for Dulcich.
He's got Darnold now, who he might be able to flip too. I mean,
Darnold,
he'll have an interesting team.
I'm buying Fant everywhere I can. I like some of the decisions that he's made with what he's been given. He's released from purgatory next year. I like the Montgomery contract. Like everybody's really excited about Jahmyr Gibbs, but Montgomery's still there, right? So I like what Flynn's doing, and he's got a nice, well-rounded team in terms of contracts. So I think he's released from the prison of the division of death next year, and he'll be free from there.
I think if you talk an overrated team, I don't know if it's overrated, but like Justin's Deli, I think is like super top heavy. Like he's got some awesome studs on his team. But like you look at who's in his flex, Worthy and Shakir.
His last flex spot's pretty rough, if I'm not mistaken.
I've seen like some clips of Worthy, and I don't really know how he's gonna do against like press coverage. He's a little guy. He might just be like
Shakir are his two flex spots.
And then you look at his bench.
Jalen Tolbert.
He doesn't even have a full bench.
No. Jalen Tolbert, Rashad
at
Bateman,
all, dude. He's got a lot of empty spots there, dude.
Yeah. Well, we do cut down 5 spots soon, but yeah, I mean, he's got no money and he's got a full roster at 20. So, 20 people, no money left in the bank. Some expensive boys.
When do we cut down those roster spots?
I think it's like right before the season begins.
Oh, so right now we've got X number of bench spots, and it's going to be -5 here in a little bit.
Yeah, it'll be -5, and Taxi will pop back up again, and this is the last fucking go around for the practice squad thing. I'll tell you that. Cause I'm sick of doing all the
We're not doing that anymore.
We're gonna do it one more time.
Oh, we're not doing the poaching, you mean? But we can still have the taxi.
Poaching is the taxi's there. The poaching's there. It's just taxi locks for 6 weeks at a time now. So okay. I'll put out like a little flyer or something like that, like I do. Yeah, so basically it's like the taxi locks for 6 weeks. You can pull someone up, but you can't put anyone back down, and then they stay there. Then the poaching happens every week. So
got it.
I think it'll. If this doesn't work, nothing will. I'm done with it.
I'm excited, man. I'm excited. Yeah, I'm excited for the season, and I'm still gonna keep pressing you in codes like 1 year, even if it's not the whole league. I think it would be real cool if we can. This would be the league. I think we can make it happen, like an in-person rookie draft. At least half the league. Not everybody has to be there, but I think that could be way cool.
Yeah, I think it'd be awesome. I really love the idea of a realignment. I know you've been. Was Dan saying Vegas or you saying Vegas? I can't remember.
I just think I'm not even a huge. I just think Vegas would be There's just so much shit to do there, and I'm sure a ton of. I just think it'd be a fun place to go to do like our rookie draft.
Yeah, fucking flies back.
Cheap flights, hotel. Like there's always deals and stuff too. Like I just think it'd be cool.
Yeah, I love the idea of just renting a mansion and like, the first day that we get there, we're just hanging out, and the next day is the rookie draft or like realignment. and the next day
rent a mansion in Vegas.
Like that. That's gonna be fucking expensive. I don't know. We'll figure it out. We'll start talking about it more, I guess, as we get into the season. So.
That's why I was thinking Tahoe, because Tahoe is just like beautiful things to do outside. I just don't know how easy it is to get to Tahoe. Vegas, we got to think of places that are easy for folks to get to. You know?
Yeah, I remember I made like the little map at one point in time, and like with where everybody
has direct flights to Vegas. You know?
Well, yeah, Ohio is the most central location for everybody, so it's a little petrifying. We'll have to figure it out. So. All right. Any final thoughts before we flush this toilet?
No, let's flush the toilet, man. Happy to connect with you. Enjoy your chicken.
Yeah, man. Thank you. All right.
Thanks for being Kmish.
Yeah, thank you for being.
Give me my fucking trophy.
I'm gonna mail it. I swear.
All right.
It's coming soon. I promise.
Cool.
Well, drop your address and social security and credit card number in my DMs.
I will do that. I will do that. All right. Sounds good, man. Take it easy. Have a good night. Bye.